Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. Really excited to have our guest today. She has a super interesting story and she's doing so many cool things. Taune Lyons is here with us today. Taune, I would love if you would tell everybody how you went from being just a traditional therapist to a traveling therapist.
Yeah. I guess I became interested in it because it didn't even seem like a possibility necessarily before the pandemic. But then I was still in practicum in grad school when that happened, actually the last semester of grad school, when everything shut down. I was living in San Francisco, so it was quite extreme and for good reason, but very immediately. So then I became virtual. And just from there, I never actually went back to in person. And of course, I could only work with people in the state of California, but that meant the entirety of California. So that opened the door to me when I was in the Bay to work with people obviously from all over that otherwise couldn't be there. I was getting my somatic experiencing practitioner certification, and you can work with anyone from the world. I started to get really curious about if I could be somewhere different too, because I love different cultures and experiencing different places. And the Bay was really the only place that felt like home to me for a big chunk of my life. And then it started to feel different. So then I got curious about where else is there? Where else is community happening and what does it look like and feel like?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the certification, that's not license dependent. Is that a separate? I'd love to hear about that because I think people in this community are super interested in things that aren't license dependent, because you've got to see your clients just in California most of the time. So I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm so grateful. I had a few mentors that were SEPs, which is what it's called. But somatic experiencing is a bottom up form of trauma. It's not called therapy, but trauma resolution. And basically, it has to do with connecting with your nervous system and listening to the story of your nervous system. And it was created by Peter Levine, who was not a therapist. He's a scientist. And now there's a ton of different therapists who do it, but it's a 3-year training. And you can do it all over the world. Usually it's in big cities, but it's in the United States, but it's also everywhere. And the last training I just did was in Chicago, where I finished. But before that, the trainings were in Canada all over. So it was a really great opportunity to get to learn from people, not talk therapy, but somatic therapy, and specifically trauma informed or trauma trained, which I felt was really important for me. And you can be anywhere in the world. I've worked with somatic as a client and as a practitioner all over, which is so awesome because there's just a different flavor from different places sometimes too. And I know sometimes you talk about burnout or different streams of income, for therapists. And this has been so incredible for my own healing and also as a therapist to be able to do something other than talk, especially when there's, like stuckness, rigidity, rumination, developmental trauma, to go to sensation or imagery or behavior in the body, movement, and begin to connect there and heal there.
Yeah, I love that so much because I remember, early years of my own private practice, it was like, I need some other modality because this talk therapy, it was so frustrating. So it's like, I don't know how to get past that part because it's obvious that just talking is not fixing this stuff that's trapped in here, And then I went on and got, EMDR certified and all that stuff. But the somatic stuff, I always think is so awesome. I love it. Like, I don't know. I follow these Instagrammers that do somatic exercises. I'm like, I'm going to shake, whatever. I love that stuff.
Well, EMDR too, right? It's so powerful. My therapist does brain spotting, which I think is an offshoot of that. And it's just incredible for people that it resonates with, right? It's a transformation that's totally different in my experience than just having the cognitive insight.
Yeah. So to do the SEP, I think you said you don't have to be licensed already to get that certification and training?
You do not, because it's also open for physicians or people who are artists, dancers to help, because trauma comes up in so many different ways for so many different modalities that you don't have to be a licensed therapist. I'd also looked into sensory motor training, and you do have to be licensed for that. But it's pretty incredible. And I felt like it was a pretty good training.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that existed. So that's really neat. Sometimes I'll interview just coaches, that aren't therapists at all. They've got modalities like that. So that's neat to hear. And therapists can do it too and incorporate it into their work already.
Yeah, I think it's really neat. I feel like it really adds an extra, probably like EMDR did, really necessary education, embodied education.
So how do you incorporate that into like the work that you're doing or the clients that you're sort of attracting into your practice that you're working with? Is it do you primarily advertise that modality, or is it just like, this is one of the things in my toolbox, especially if you're international, like reaching out internationally to get clients and that sort of thing. I think people struggle with that. Like, how do I market myself without just having to be in California and that sort of thing? So I'm just curious about that. It's so interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah, like how to market.
Yeah. How do you market to the international world with this thing that isn't license dependent while maybe still having to be license dependent?
Yes, in California.
Part of it. Yeah. In California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just became an SCP in January.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I took the longer road, which was nice, and
Oh,
that
well.
it gave me more time to integrate. And I actually think you don't have to be fully a practitioner yet to be on their website, but I waited because I thought
Nice.
you did. So another really cool tidbit there. And so I'm on the somatic experiencing website now, which I believe is healingtrauma.org. And people reach out from there and you're just on the website. And sometimes you even meet colleagues that then can refer you as well, which is really wonderful from different industries like doctors or PTs, physical therapists, those kinds of things too, which is cool. And then on Instagram, I post as well, like little embodiment snippets or on Substack. And sometimes people reach out from there.
Oh, that's so neat. I like to talk about this stuff because it helps therapists break outside of that box of like, okay, I've got to just do my therapy modality. I've got to just see clients in California. Some states don't even let them travel outside of their state, and be sitting in other states or countries. So I like to hear these outside of the box kind of things. It's really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really neat too because there's so many ways to be a therapist and so many ways to be a human. And when we get to have those two intersect, it feels more empowering or liberating, I guess, to me than just being stuck in that box of having to be in an office or having to, like in San Francisco when I worked there, it's, you drive for an hour and a half, and then you have to move your car every 2 hours. And that
Gosh.
impacts mental health and nervous
Ah,
system capacity.
yeah. That is
Yeah,
stressful.
it is.
Wow. So what are you doing now? Like, what's your traveling life look like? How are you making it work? Because I think people
Yeah.
would like to hear that. Yeah.
Totally. Well, so all my stuff is in storage
Okay.
in the East Bay of San Francisco.
You're like us. We've got everything in storage in Fort Lauderdale. We're like, will we ever even be back in Fort Lauderdale? Who knows?
I know it's hard to figure it out, but for now, that's where it is. But I've only been doing this since July of last year. I left my lease and I loved my home there, but I was ready to kind of fly the coop and see what's up. And from there, I spent a lot of time in Canada. I was actually finishing up my somatic experiencing in Vancouver and in Ottawa. So I was on the West Coast and the East Coast of Canada, just exploring and primarily Airbnbs and also trusted house sitters. I found out from a friend of a friend, which was really cool because I was on Vancouver Island for a month or two, which was, oh my gosh, I would totally live there, I think.
Oh my gosh. I got to
It's
go
so
check that out.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, do it. It's really beautiful. Like the sunsets, I know you've been to Arizona, or like the Arizona like fiery pink sky.
Yes.
Then there's the ocean, and it's a
Nice.
calm ocean where you can paddleboard, and yeah, it's really gorgeous. And so I was there and I did, tours in Tofino, which is the upper north tip of Vancouver Island. That was really lovely to get to learn about the Talokiat people and where Tofino is and just the really gorgeous islands off of there. And I did some kayaking and hiking. And then it's been really nice because I've actually had both of my parents come to visit me in different places. My mom came to Montreal, my dad came to Vancouver. And that's been really special because I haven't lived at home, I think, since I was, or near them since I was maybe 17 or maybe 19 because I came back for a minute. But so that's been really just incredible to get to kind of nurture and get to know each other at these ages. And then from there, I was in the States for a little bit in the Southwest and Utah, and actually went all the way down in a road trip from Canada to Arizona. And then I was in Japan for a bit. Absolutely loved Japan.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that was super awesome. I honestly am thinking about maybe potentially moving to Tokyo, but we'll see. Don't know yet. But just the juxtaposition there of the really busy city of Tokyo, or even parts of Kyoto, and then the temples and the shrines and the calmness, it felt so amazing for my nervous system and just the people there too.
Amazing. Yeah. I've heard so many people talk about Japan like that. It just sounds magical over there.
It feels like magic to me. I know it's not for everyone, just like nowhere is for everyone, but yeah, really healing place. And now tomorrow I'm off to Europe. I have kind of a one-way ticket just to see what it's like for a few months. I'm second generation on my dad's side. His family was from the UK, and I've not been to either the UK or Europe, so I'd like to do some kind of checking in on my ancestry experience there.
So do you do all this solo travel or do you go with people?
I do it solo and then sometimes extremely solo. I was actually up in the Sunshine Coast, not of Australia, of Canada, for 2 months by myself. It was very remote
Whoa.
on the water. And that was so amazing. But then it really came to me. I don't know if you've heard this quote that's like, have you really healed all your triggers? Or are you just isolating?
Yes.
And as a therapist who focuses a lot on intimacy and sexuality and just a human who focuses on that, I was like, this is a little too comfortable for
Yeah.
me.
Oh, interesting. Yes.
But it was okay at the time because I
Yeah.
had left and a relationship had ended that had been 8 years. That was pretty
Oh, yeah.
tumultuous. So I really wanted to take a year, and it's been a year as of April 11th, to really be with myself. So that was a really big blessing to have that time. But now I feel, other than friends who've come to visit me on the road, or my parents, my siblings, my sister, my younger sister came with me to Japan,
Oh,
it's been
cool.
solo. And I love community and family more than anything. I feel like that's what life is about, is connection. So when I'm in Europe, I'm doing a lot of meeting up with people. I'm staying at this place called Fatopia. Have you heard of it?
Oh, I think I have. Can you tell us about it though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I found out about this from a friend actually that I met in somatic experiencing training, who does transformational healing retreats and festivals for people with somatics
Oh,
for writing specifically. Her name is Janelle Hardy, and she's been in Burgundy at this castle that's called Fatopia for a few months out of the year. And basically it's reimagining, from my understanding of it, it's reimagining community and collective care from people all over the world that come there to set up events and connect with people who are trying to change the world in a positive way. So I'm really excited to be there. And
that
then
is cool.
I know, it's really cool. I'm really stoked on that. And then after that, I'll be heading to Portugal to try out different co-living or just like meeting people. There's so many Facebook groups, like your Facebook
Yeah.
group is amazing. And then there's one like female travelers, female solo travelers in Portugal and in all these different places to really meet community. So this next portion of this is definitely not that it wasn't about community before, because I think inner community is really important too, but just kind of fleshing out, I think conflict is really important and
Yeah.
conflict resolution, and not just on the phone, which did happen, by the way, when I was by myself, but just in person, like really feeling the energetics of what happens in my nervous system,
I love that.
cohabitating with people
I
again.
love that you're paying attention to that. Just even, being a nomad that moves all the time, you get in certain places and it's just disruptive, like nothing works right or the internet's not working or like,
Yeah.
it's like discombobulating. Definitely. Yeah, I love to hear you noticing like Japan and then the coast up in Canada, and like how much calmer you felt. Like I just think that's really important to pay attention to. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I do too. I was worried a little bit going into this, honestly, because it's
Yeah.
so important to me where my nervous system at, especially as a therapist. I feel like it's the most important tool that I have. And so I try to craft my environment in a way that feels really supportive for me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no matter where I am.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. I
Yeah.
try to, but it never seems to work out. I'm always like, why am I at this chaos? I don't know what's happening. That's a pattern I should be looking at. But yeah, I don't know. It's like you get a couple good Airbnbs and then it's like just a couple crazy ones back to back. It seems like for us anyway. Even doing
Yeah.
due diligence, it's like, okay, we didn't realize this place doesn't even have a kitchen. Like, how did we not notice this? Stuff like
Right.
that.
But sometimes that does
We have a
happen.
checklist. It's
Yep.
like, wait, there's no washer and dryer, like that kind of stuff, that just
Mhm.
could be a little bit much sometimes. But yeah,
Totally. And they can help keep us, I guess, agile or like flexible in our nervous systems. But then sometimes if there's not support in other areas, it can just feel like absolute chaos.
yes.
I totally get it. Yeah.
Which kind of leads me into some other things,
Yeah.
that's part of that is like having like lots of income streams and lots of moving parts
Yeah.
in your business and that sort of thing. And I would love if you would tell us about the other stuff that you're doing, because I think it's
Yeah.
super interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess one of the things that I've been doing for a couple of years now is I teach classes online through different apps, which I don't think I mentioned to you, but that's something that is really fun because I get to be with groups specifically on attachment theory, and through my friend John Kim, who goes by the Angry Therapist, and his wife Vanessa Bennett is also super amazing. And she has classes that I'm going to be teaching too. So things like that are really wonderful. Like when people have apps and you can reach out and teach classes, or they reach out to you. And then I've also been teaching classes recently at what is it called? It's at counseling centers, like one of the counseling centers that I worked at before I was pre-licensed. They have trainers come in, therapists come in. And so that's been really fun too. Another thing that I've been thinking about is supervision if people are already licensed for a couple of years, just for something different. And then I'm also writing a book right now, which I'm excited about. And I should have the book proposal done within the next couple of weeks. And from what I've heard, that can be a really wonderful income stream and also just a great creative stream and self-connection stream.
I feel like it's just a really good authority builder too, like
Yeah.
just having it out there on your website, like, look at this book I wrote. And,
Yes.
that's amazing. Do you want
Yeah.
to tell us what the book's about, or is it still top secret kind of?
Yeah, it's not necessarily top secret. I mean,
Yeah.
I do like to keep some of it close to my chest, but it is about intimacy and interdependence
Oh,
and
nice.
boundaries, specifically being a huge part of interdependence and feeling more liberation and freedom, which I feel like is a little bit of a different lens than a lot of the boundaries conversations that I've seen so far. It's more like boundaries are a bridge to deeper intimacy and not a way to stay isolated or hyper independent.
I love that.
Yeah, it's exciting because I get to take somatics and attachment theory and kind of interweave it in there. So I'm like really excited about that. I've always loved writing. It's what I studied when I was younger in undergrad. And as a little one, I thought I was going to be a screenwriter. So I feel like the creative arts are really important to me.
Amazing. Yeah. Every person I have on here has just got so many different facets to them. And I just love how we're all like just doing the thing, like creating
Mhm.
all the things, that's just like
Yes.
living inside of us. So I think that's really amazing.
Yeah, and it feels like such a huge part of being alive, like getting to tap into that, the multiplicity and everything. And then the one last thing that I'm so excited about, it feels
Yeah, I
like
wanna
my
hear about
baby
this.
other than my book right now, is it's called Flow State app. And it is a way to track your menstrual cycle, but not just track your menstrual cycle, but to attune to your cycles of each phase through
That is awesome.
movement and mindfulness and emotional check-ins, including journaling and emotional expression through creativity. And it's still in development right now. We're looking for beta app testers, but it's rooted in truly everything that I wish that I had when I was younger, because I'm neurodivergent. And when you are neurodivergent, it's not just for neurodivergent folks who menstruate, but when you are, your PMS or PMDD is way more extreme. Like there's a high amount of suicidality, depression, anxiety, and just a lot of disruption in life. And with certain things that are oftentimes research backed, we can help support more, not just emotional fluency, but more connection with self and able to really know what's happening instead of feeling like your body's an enemy.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That's such a great idea. I mean, this might be TMI for this podcast, but there's definitely times where, I'll like start my period. I'm like, oh, that's why I was crazy.
Exactly.
It's like, that's why I was so pissed off about everything, It's like,
Yes.
and you know this, and you would think that you would be in tune with it, but it's like, I just forget. Like, I hate everybody for like 3 days, it's
Totally.
insane.
And
Right.
that's so normal. And, we're so severed, most of us, I feel like, from what's happening in our bodies. And it reminds me of what we were talking about earlier, like the rumination or the talk therapy, when
Yes.
we're able to move from there, from the mind, from cognitionally, which is wonderful, but to our hearts, to our wombs, to our nervous systems, it really shifts things.
Yeah. It is just making me think, like, as a therapist, what if you were able to like be connected to your clients' apps to know, like, if they come in and they're just like, oh, I hate everybody. It's like, let's look at your flow cycle app and see, like, where are you right
Yes.
now?
Oh,
let's
I
just
love
get a little
that.
more clarity around this.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
love that. Thanks for
Yeah.
that tip. Yeah.
Yeah. You might even like make it shareable to the therapist or whatever. I don't know. It'd have to be HIPAA compliant, but
Right. Well, we
yeah.
will have a partner mode or a friend mode so they can, I think that can be really helpful to be in community around it and just share symptoms or to share things that help.
Oh, yes. To the boyfriends or the husbands to
Oh,
be
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they can just go check the app.
Just check it.
I have so
Yeah.
many ideas. Can you just go check the app before you, like
Say
have
that
that
thing.
conversation with me?
Totally.
Little reminder. He could get like a notification that says, by the way, Kim's going into this phase.
Just
Oh my God.
slide chocolate under door.
Yes, and leave me
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and eventually I'd love to do it for perimenopausal and menopausal women too, and maybe even stuff for men because men also have hormonal cycles. From my understanding of it, it's a 24-hour cycle, but I think that could be really wonderful too to be more engaged with what's happening in our nervous systems and our emotions because if we are aware of if anybody does psychedelic therapy or has ever tried it, you have to be aware of your set and setting. But rarely do we do that for like big conversations or just life to kind of check in and say, oh, this is where I'm at in my cycle. This is where I'm at in my emotions. This is what's happening in the rest of my life. Is what can I do to support myself to have this conversation or to have this meeting or whatever else?
Yeah, even with the perimenopausal stuff, because I'm definitely in that phase now where I'm starting to get like those really bad night sweats. Like I'm cold
Mm,
1 minute, like freezing, and then I'm like sweating. It's like, what is
yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
Like so all of that would be super
Yeah.
great for just awareness and helping us manage the symptoms. So how do people become beta testers if you're
Yeah.
still looking and it's open?
Yeah. So the landing page is flow-state.app. And you can just read a little bit about it there. And if you just submit your email and say, yes, I'm interested in becoming a beta tester. Right now, I have a colleague and friend who is helping me he does app development. So he'll be helping me with the UX and UI design. So yeah,
I was just
it's
going to
exciting.
ask, how are you building out the app? Because I mean, I think people get stuck with the tech part too. It's like, well, I have this idea, but how do I even get started with it?
Yes. I do feel lucky in that I have a close friend who builds apps. That's one of the things that he does. So I can ask him questions and I asked him if he wanted to hop on board and he said yes. So he's gone through the process of talking to people who can provide funding, which has been very helpful. But I know that you'll love this other part is that I've been really working with ChatGPT as if
I was gonna say,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because it's like it's definitely like talking to somebody who already has done this in a way, or, can crowdfund ideas, or even a personal assistant. And I am worried about the environmental implications. And at the same time, with this specifically, I wonder what the environmental implications would be if I had a big team. So I'm curious about that. I don't know because it's something that I want to be mindful of. But at the same time, it does feel like an incredible resource too.
And it's like you have to weigh the benefits to society versus the pressure on
Yeah.
society or whatever, like the difference between the two, because it's going to help so many people too in a lot of ways. So you have to,
Right.
yeah, but I hear you totally. And just for listeners, I mean, there's so many apps coming out, like AI apps that just help with app building. There's one called Manus, MANUS.IM, that I
Mm.
recently got connected to, and it builds apps. It does anything you want it to do,
Wow.
really. I put in like, I need a new website page, and I was like, here's what I want it to look like. And I want it to match this other website I already have. And in
Yeah.
about 3 minutes, it built a whole new website page for me. It gave me
Oh my
all the
gosh.
HTML code and literally, and then it gave me instructions on how to take the code and put it on my WordPress site and make it into a website page. Like,
That's
that
incredible.
happened in about 3 minutes, and it does it for apps and all kinds of stuff. So just putting that out there. If anybody's like, I have an
Oh,
app idea.
no,
Yeah.
that's amazing
Yeah.
because I did it on Wix and let me tell you, it took me a few days. Wix
Yeah.
is very intense and glitchy. I couldn't get a light box off for 2 days every time I
Oh,
deleted
no.
it like this.
Oh my gosh.
It's like I actually texted my friend and I was like, how do you not punch walls? Like,
It's so
when you're
frustrating.
doing this.
So frustrating. But AI can help it's just helped so much with anything I'm doing. I'm like, wait, why can't where's the button? And like, how do I do this? And, I'll take a screenshot, upload it in ChatGPT or whatever. And it's like, it's right here, Kim. And it's like, oh, okay. Yes, it is right there.
Yeah, but we don't come from that background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool, though, that you're making this app. I made an app back in 2008 when the App Store was brand new. It was a hypnosis app with all my hypnosis MP3s. It was the second hypnosis app in the App Store at the time, but it's dead now because I didn't update it or whatever. It's totally dead now, but
It's
it was an
amazing.
interesting process. I hired somebody from India and he built it out for me. But yeah, it's come a
That's
long way, I
incredible.
guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Is that something that you still do now,
Not
hypnosis?
anymore. I was a certified hypnotherapist and I really got into it. Everything I build is born from like somebody asking for it over and over again. I'm like, oh, maybe I need
Hmm.
to make this into or you hear that theme, like you probably hear people talking about their cycle and they feel crazy one day and normal
Yes.
the next. But yeah, so I was doing like hypnosis with my clients and they were like, can I get a recording of that? And I was like, oh, maybe I
Yes.
should record these. And then it's like,
Hmm.
wait, if they like it, why don't I just put it on an app and sell it on the
Yes.
app store? And I mean, that was a very popular app for probably 10 years. And still I get emails today like, where's the app? How do I get these sessions that I used to love so much? It's interesting. But
Yeah.
uh,
Maybe it may be something you'd want to do again.
maybe. I still have all the recordings. I still sell them on an Etsy shop. So that's how I deliver them now. But that's totally passive. Like I don't, promote it at all. Just people somehow still find them, which
Find
is
it.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really cool. The passive piece too seems so
Yes.
important for this work.
Yeah, passive is good. I mean, but you probably know this in everything you're doing. That everything's got some work involved with it until you can
Yes.
like build enough of an audience to just like have it on your website and have people buy it, without having
Yes.
to like promote all the time because there's still so much like marketing that goes into this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I'm working on too with the book that my friend told me about, who writes book, actually it's John Kim, is to take some of what you're doing in the book and maybe put it into a platform of some kind. Like I'm working on healing from emotionally abusive relationships, and it's something that you can buy online, kind of like a packet for multiple weeks, but it's related to the book. And so kind of putting all those things together, and then I have a Substack. And so I thought that was really cool and helpful to hear.
Yeah.
To kind of stack them together.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what course, because I've taken so many courses and stuff, but it's like,
Yeah.
having like your primary offer, but having the mini offers that support it, like
Yes,
a
there we
$27
go.
offer
Yeah.
goes to like your $397 offer, but they love
Right.
the little one so much. They're really excited to buy the big one.
Yeah, I like the marketing, branding stuff that we didn't learn in therapy school.
Interesting. No, it
Yeah.
has been a journey for sure. And
Mhm.
I've learned from so many people over the years.
You have
but
a lot
still,
that you offer. You totally get it.
I do, but still, even yesterday with my business manager, it was like, this is just so much. It's just so overwhelming trying to keep up with the funnels and the emails
Yeah.
and the nurturing. It's just like a whole thing, but it's
Mhm.
fun too. It's,
Yeah.
it has its pros and cons, as I'm sure
Yeah.
you know, with everything you're doing.
Yeah, it can be super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I'm so
Mhm.
creative like you. It sounds like you're just like, yeah, and I'm reading a book and I'm doing this or that. And
Yeah.
there's so much you could do.
There really is, yeah. Well, that also brings me though to I don't really see it talked about that much. And I think that you have though, of how sometimes this is overwhelming, like whether
yes.
doing a lot of things as a therapist or being a traveling therapist. And a lot of times people will say, oh, that's exactly what I want to do, or they're a coach, or it would be so amazing to be a digital nomad. And freedom can have, if when it's seen as freedom, there can also be a lot of grief in it sometimes for me. Do you experience that too?
Absolutely. In fact, we were kind of talking about this a little bit before we hit record, just like you were saying, you're near family. I'm with my family right now. And, there definitely is like, okay, I'm sitting in the Dominican Republic, but I'm looking on Facebook and here's like, everybody's at my father's birthday that I'm not at, like that kind of stuff definitely can be like, ooh, it's like a give and take, and I guess that's what you're talking about too, like leaving family to go do and explore, but then
Well, yeah. I think it would be okay to share right now with my mom's mom. She's going through some health things as well. And my mom has the ability to go take care of her. So it's a blessing because I get to be around my family and help support them a bit. And it's also challenging in some ways to leave because there's a desire to go back. So it's again like the pros and cons of it, and just having the capacity to be with the joy of it, like how amazing that we get to be around family when we can. A lot of people can't for weeks at a time. And the grief of leaving, or the grief sometimes that I have of not yet knowing the rootedness outside of myself. Like home feels like a rootedness for a lot of people, but home is inside of myself right now.
Exactly. I talk about this sometimes on the podcast. That is an interesting concept about home, and we've gotten to the point now we joke about it all the time. It's like we walk into an Airbnb and like 10 minutes later, it's like we feel like we live there. It's like, how does this happen? Where it used to be like, this is so foreign, like I miss my stuff. And now we're like, okay, let me look around, like get oriented. Okay, here's where they keep the glasses, the silverware, whatever. And it's like, okay, I literally feel like I live in this place now. And you just come accustomed to it, I guess.
Totally. Well, there's been so many nomadic peoples, and some people still are. I mean, like us, but also a part of their culture that it's almost like a certain gene gets turned on and then expressed. Like,
That's
okay,
so
we're moving now.
That's a really cool thing to think about. Yeah, people were nomadic way back. It's like we had to move with the seasons and the food and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So in some ways, it's like tapping into that again. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool. Finding
it
the
is.
silverware is a little bit different. I'm totally right there with you, though.
It's like, "They don't have a can opener, I don't get it." Yeah, like,
Oh,
that kind of thing.
yeah.
There's so many little nuances to this, it's really
Yeah.
funny. But anyway, thank you for the
Yeah.
amazing conversation.
Yeah.
How do people find you? If they wanna, like, see all the amazing things
Yes.
you're doing or work with you with the somatic
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah. My website is taunelyons.com and my Instagram is the same, just my first and last name, Taune Lyons. Substack is a really great place. I just started doing that again to connect, and it's
Cool.
Coming to Our Senses is what it's called. And in the next
Okay.
couple of weeks, I'll have a podcast associated with that out too. I just wanted to get a full season first. And then flow-state.app if you want to be a beta app tester or just want to learn more about it. And then soon there will be a book.
Amazing. Well, I love hearing everything you're doing, and when the app releases, if you wanna come back and talk about it or anything, just feel free to reach out. I'm sure
Thank
it's
you,
gonna be
Kim.
super helpful to people.